Hey guys, I'm here in my basement doing a piece this weekend and I need to pick out my colors. So I thought I'd record and show my process for picking out paint, and hopefully this is helpful for some people. I don't have anything in order right now, so I am going to take everything out onto the floor, especially out of all of these milk crates, and see what I have in store. These are all the cans that I'm gonna choose from, and I already know that the first thing I need to do is find 4 cans of the same color, because that's gonna be my outline for my piece. So once I do that, then I'll be able to figure out what the rest of my color scheme is gonna be. Alright, so the colors that I do have 4 or 5 cans of are this Rosario pink, and this verde virgen, and then this I don't know what kind of brown. It's like a mud. So I also started to take a look at everything else that I have. Even though I don't have 4 colors, I started to look at what I do. I have like 3 of that cyan, a bunch of mixed warm pinks and purples, and several sort of like mishap darker and medium blues. So at this point I have to figure out what my outline color is gonna be, and I'm kind of digging this real pale green. I think I'm gonna go with this as my outline, and actually I think these two kind of go really well with each other. So if I'm thinking about this as my outline, I'm thinking about this as sort of like my background or bubbles behind these letters, because of the high contrast, right? Like this is a really dark brown, and this is almost like a white green. And so let's get into contrast for a second. One of the first things that I do when I'm looking at colors is, and you could do this with anything, you can equate a color to a grayscale. So if you know what a grayscale is, it's a 0 to 10, white to black, and all the grays in between. And so if you think about colors, the equal grayscale of that, then you can start arranging how colors can go next to each other to blend, right? So let's see. This would be like this green would be maybe like a 1 gray, and this brown would be like a 8, or pretty much like a 8 gray, right? Just to play around, this is probably more like a 7 gray. And then if we take a look at all these pinks, this is probably like an 8 gray, maybe like a 6, and then we start looking, that's maybe like a 7. What else do we have? But you get the idea. So that's one of the first things that I do when I'm looking at whatever paint I have, is like, what is the equivalent grayscale of that color? And so if we have this as my outline color, I'm just going to grab it real quick. What I can then do is start putting other colors next to it for contrast, right? All of these still give me a good amount of contrast against it. So I could fill in with all of these, and this is still going to stick out. Contrary, if I put stuff that's almost too close in contrast to it, say I put a bunch of pale stuff next to it, then this starts to look like that, and then you can't really tell the difference. And so that's not a good color if you want your outline to contrast in. If we're talking about blending, then that'll work, but that's not the situation here. Okay, so we have this virgin green as my outline. We have this mud brown as my background, and then I have all these pinks to purples to reds to medium blues to darker blues and purples. That's going to be my fill-in, and this is because this is what I have available. There's really no other rationale. I'm trying to organize the chaos that I have. And so if we take a look, any color pretty much that I put against this outline green, there's going to be a good amount of contrast, right? If we're thinking about those grayscale equivalents and we're saying this is a 1, well, this is at least a 2. This is maybe a 3. We're starting to get into the 4s and the 5s. Plenty of contrast over here. 6s, 7s. So anywhere in my fill-in, I'm always going to be able to easily see my outline color. The other thing that I kind of already do naturally is organize in gradients, right? So if we look at all of these pinks for a second, they're going from lighter to darker. And so I can start to blend these in an order, and they'll all work together. Same with the blues. I could start blending all these in a specific order, and they'll all work together. Oh, so then you can start talking about temperature, like color temperature. Cold, cooler colors like this are not going to be as vibrant as warm, hot colors like this. So how that works is there's more contrast again, right? And so this will recede in space. If we're talking about like perspective, these colors will naturally go back and these will pop forward because they're warmer and they're hotter. So they're also more vibrant in grayscale. We're talking about like 2s and 3s in gray versus like 5s and 6s and 7s over here. So brighter, more vibrant, warmer colors to the front, cooler, more subtle, closer to white, will move back. The same thing if we talk about, let's just say, dark blues versus dark reds. Let's look at this, right? So if we think about this in terms of grayscale, maybe this is like a 7, and this is our 8. So they're, in terms of grayscale, they're close. But if you look in terms of temperature, this one definitely recedes and this one pops up. It's more vibrant. It has a warmer tone to it, more temperature. And so when you have colors that are the same grayscale but different temperature, warmer always comes forward as well, and cooler recedes to the back. So now what I've done is organized even further. For the pinks to dark maroon, I ordered them in lighter to darker. And I did the same for the blues. So the lightest blue to the darkest. This is a sample of a Montana Hardcore color chart, and you can see that they organize their colors the same way as well. And so just for review, I have this virgin green as my outline, this mud as my 3D or my background, and then I'm gonna use either one of these would work on their own, right? Like I could do like a full fade from pink to burgundy, and that would work by itself. Or I could do a full light turquoise to a darker blue, and that could be my fill. But because I don't have that many cans of each color, I'm going to combine both of these and figure out how to use them both in my piece. And that's pretty much as much organization as I'm going to do. I'm also thinking about like what one-off colors, what bursts of colors will kind of create contrast in between both of these sets of colors, this one and this one, right? So I'm thinking maybe like this yellow that has a lot of pigment, this darker sort of orange mango, this other yellow. I'm probably going to grab yellows, some brighter pale greens, and then I'm going to do fluorescence on top of that, and also some transparent colors on top of that. What else? I'll also make sure to bring some transparent white and transparent black, and then we'll see how the piece turns out. So stay tuned for the piece.